What's up everybody? Here I have a Lenovo Tab 4.8. In this video I will show you how I removed the motherboard on this tablet and give you some tips for putting everything back together. This tablet has a broken screen, so I used a couple of layers of packing tape to cover the broken glass. As you can see, I still managed to cut myself with the glass. To remove the back cover, insert a tool right here where the charging port meets the back cover and pop up the cover from here. Insert a tool into this gap and continue prying the rest of the back cover off. I inserted my plastic card into this gap and continued prying the rest of the back cover off. Just slide and pry up and away from the tablet. There are a lot of screws on this tablet. The easiest way to manage the screws is to make separate groups of screws. We have to remove this metal cover next. It's held in by 8 Phillips head screws. This will be your first group of screws. Keep these together. One of the screws has a sticker on it that you'll need to peel off before removing it. Now peel off this piece of tape. Then lift the cover out. Here is the battery connector. Disconnect your battery before moving on. Now we have a series of black and silver screws holding down the back cover frame. Take note that the 8 silver screws are in the middle surrounding the battery and about 9 black screws on the outside edges. This is your next group of screws. Keep all of these screws together. You don't need to see me remove all of the screws. Now lift the cover of the SD card slot open. Insert a prying tool right here to pop open the back frame. I used a flathead screwdriver bit. Now you can insert a plastic card and begin separating the rest of the frame. Your last group of screws are these 2 black screws holding down the motherboard. Now we have to disconnect ribbon cables and peel back some adhesive tapes. Let's start with the SD card reader right here. Peel back the yellow tape, lift the plastic latch, and use some tweezers to pull out the ribbon cable. To remove the motherboard, you do not have to remove the SD card reader, you only have to disconnect the ribbon cable. If you need to replace the SD card reader, just lift it up and out. The front facing camera is right here. You'll need to lift it before removing the motherboard. It's attached to the motherboard by a ribbon cable, but you can leave it connected. Now let's lift the yellow tape on the screen cable. Lift the latch up, then you can pull the ribbon cable. The rear facing camera is attached to the motherboard by a ribbon cable. There's also a piece of tape under the camera that connects to the motherboard right here. I pried the camera out and disconnected it to remove it. If you lift the motherboard from this end, the tape will come off. Just make sure to keep the other end of the motherboard down or else you might damage this ribbon cable. Now lift the vibration motor from this side. There's a ribbon cable attached to the motherboard that includes the power and volume buttons. They're attached with adhesive tape. I used a 1.5 flathead bit to pry these off. There's a piece of yellow tape right here. Lift it to loosen the motherboard out, but don't remove the motherboard just yet. There is a speaker at the bottom. You can lift this tape or cut it like I did. Now lift the speaker out. Then lift the speaker cable out. There's a microphone at the bottom. Lift the microphone and lift the cable out. Finally, you can lift the motherboard out at a 45-degree angle with speakers and microphone attached. Here it is. Now I have to transfer this to another identical tablet. Let's go over some tips for putting the motherboard back together. Set the board down at a 45-degree angle. Be mindful that the screen cable goes into its connector, and then be careful that the SD card ribbon cable doesn't get stuck under the board. Don't forget to secure the ribbon cable latches. I had an issue with the motherboard sitting flush. Next to the camera there is a rubber pad for the LED light. I didn't notice that my new board had the rubber pad stuck on the back, and this tablet already had a rubber pad in place. I removed the one stuck on the new motherboard, and then the board sat flush. There was also a camera already on this tablet frame, so I just made sure the ribbon cable didn't get caught. Connect your camera to the motherboard. Insert the vibration motor into place. Insert the power and volume buttons into place. They have double-sided adhesive on the backside. I just reused what was on there. Make sure the front-facing camera is neatly in place, and use some tweezers to connect the SD card reader ribbon cable and secure its latch. Reroute the cabling for the lower speaker and microphone. Use a plastic tool to tuck in the cabling. Don't forget the 2 black screws that go on the motherboard. Before installing the back frame, you'll have to tuck in the microphone rubber piece under the frame. Now you can snap the back frame back in place. Take a close look at the frame and make sure that there are no gaps. Make sure it's snapped in all around. Insert your screws on the back frame and connect your battery. Put your metal plate in. Insert the screws, and finally snap in the back cover. Alright, that motherboard transplant was a success.
Get a dollar for dollar match at the end of your first year, only from Discover.
Hello friends, it's me, and today
If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave your questions in the comments section. Check the video description for more information, and I'll see you in the next one.